Hi, James.
Hi, Shara.
We'll go ahead and let everyone filter in. We have about 8 participants so far. So then we'll go ahead and we'll kick it off maybe at like 2 after.
Sure. Sounds good. Hi, everyone that's joining.
Hello. For those of you who just joined, we're going to give it about 2 more minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, we'll just give it 1 more minute. All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. This is the Sugar Market Academy webinar. We will be discussing using events to capture registrations and attendees. If you do have questions, feel free to type those in the chat. We will either respond to them in the chat. We will either respond to them, and if we do need more information, then we will unmute you so that you can explain yourself. However, we will also be taking questions at the end. But if you do have questions as our subject matter expert is going through the presentation, do not hesitate to enter your question during the presentation. All righty. So introductions. My name is Shara Rouse. I am the training and enablement manager here at Sugar University. And then our subject matter expert is James Andrew. He is a marketing automation consultant. I'm sure many of you may know him as well as his team. And James he'll be speaking to you in just a moment. This is our agenda for today. How to set up an event in Sugar Market. That's what we'll start off with. Then we'll discuss automated event emails, a reminder and follow-up, how to map your event sessions to a Sugar Market form, how to set up your event landing page, how to manage and utilize your event registration and attendee data, integrations in CRM, and then lastly, we'll finish it up with Q&A. Alrighty, so I'm going to stop sharing. James, I'll let you go ahead and kick it off.
Thank you very much, Shara. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining today. So really today, I want to dive into Sugar Market, and I actually want to today live with you build out an event. Now, if you've run an event before, you know there's a lot of different elements to an event. You have obviously the event itself. You have a form where you need people to register. You will have the follow and the reminder emails, and of course the initial invitation that goes out to bring people into the webinar. So we're going to sort of touch on all those elements today. And we're going to start off by how do we create an event in Sugar Market? Now, this may be new to some people on the call. You may have used Sugar Market for some time, but the events section within the platform actually got quite a heavy facelift recently in an update. So we've got a lot of new features and great functionality there. So I want to start off by saying that if you are using GoToWebinar, we actually have an integration for that. So I will show you how you can set that up. But we're going to jump straight into events. Now, obviously, we're assuming that you have used the system before here, so there will be a little bit of assumed knowledge, but I will try my best to explain exactly what I'm doing. So on the left-hand nav, we're going to go straight to events. Now within events, we're going to hit create at the top right of the screen. Now today we're going to create a makeshift event. So we're going to call this Sugar Market Academy. We're going to select a folder in the system, and we can give our event a good description. In this case, I'm just going to hit create. Now, what I should say, first of all, now the event we are creating is the overarching event. Now, you can have many sessions under one single event. So, for example, if you were running an in-person event where maybe you're running it across multiple days, you would set up an individual session for each day. So you might have, say it was a 3-day event, you might have 3 sessions for that overarching event. Okay, so when you've set up your initial sort of event here, you can then create your first session under the event. Now, so I'm going to hit create new session. And here is where we have the option to either create an in-person session. So that is for things like exhibitions, maybe you're doing a lunch and learn, so anything like that, you could set up here as a session. We also have webinar. Obviously, this is exclusive to online webinars. And if you're using GoToWebinar, you're able to select your GoToWebinar account here. Now, if you're a GoToWebinar user, you can, I'm going to show you exactly how you can connect your GoToWebinar account with Sugar Market. I'm going to switch to another tab here. So to connect that account, you'll just simply come up to the top right, you'll hit admin. Under the admin area, you will go to external connectors and sources. So some of you may be familiar with this area. This is where you will go to manage your integration if you're connected with an external CRM. So if you click on sources here, When this opens up, you'll be able to hit New in the top right. And from the drop-down, select Go to Webinar and simply put in your credentials for your GoToWebinar account and hit Save. Simple as that. And once you've connected your GoToWebinar account, that will allow Sugarmarket to pull in any sessions that you set up in GoToWebinar. And it will also pull in any attendees and the status change of those attendees for when they do actually show up to your webinar. Okay, so if you're connected with GoToWebinar, you can select that here. We do have a Zoom integration coming. That will be coming this year in the early summer. So look out for that integration, and that will work in the exact same process that I've just showed. You can go into sources, connect your Zoom account, and you do need a Zoom Pro account, and you'll need to set up the integration with Sugarmarket on that side. Once you've done that, you can just put the credentials in here and connect your Zoom account. Now, currently, if you're running an in-person event or even an online webinar, which is not linked to Zoom or GoToWebinar, you would select in-person session. Now here we can give our session a name. So maybe in this case, it's our Sugarmarket Academy Day 1. You can, if it's an in-person event, select the location for that. So we'll just put in City London and country England, and we are going to hit save. So now it's going to load up our first session. So you can add as many sessions here as you like within reason. The actual maximum is 50. So you can have up to 50 separate sessions under one event. And you would simply add a new one by hitting this button here. Every session that you create within the system has its own session ID. And you can configure the details for that event within here. So I'm going to talk through some of the settings available in here for your event. So obviously the session name is important. You have the ability to decide when this event becomes active. So if you're not ready to launch your event or make it live, just set it to planned. If the event, you want to make it inactive at any point, you can switch this status at any time to inactive. Okay, so we have time zone available here. You can select the date, start time and end time for the event. So if I select a date here in the future, maybe we're running an event at the end of May at in the morning, maybe 11 a.m. Set this. And then obviously the system is flagging up now that I need to set a date in the future for my event. So maybe the event is running, for a short period of time. Depends what I want to select. So you can select, whatever makes sense here for you. Maybe it's an all-day event, maybe it's just an hour, right? So whatever makes sense here. Okay, so once you've set your start and end time for your event, you can also select the max number of participants. So this is usually more applicable to in-person events. However, for webinars, you may have an event as well. So we might say that our maximum participants is 100. Now, what this means is if you set this to 100, when we come to creating our registration form for this event, as soon as 100 people have registered, that session will drop off of the form so that no longer anyone can sign up. If you leave it blank, that's absolutely fine, and it will allow as many registrations as you get. Okay, so if you're connected to GoToWebinar, this is where it will pull in all of your session information automatically from GoToWebinar. You also have location and time information, so you can set this up for your event. And you have calendar invite information. So the system will automatically generate both an Outlook and a Google Calendar link here. And you can set the reminder time in-app for that as well. So if you want to set a reminder for 15 minutes on the Outlook calendar invite, for example, you can set that here. Now, what I should mention about all of what you see on screen here, you'll notice that there are this little tag icon in the corner. So these are your merge tags. So any of this information you can actually reference in emails sent from Sugar Market. So your reminder emails around this event. So you would simply click on this and it will copy your merge tag, and you can use that in your email template to pull in that, the personalized event information. Okay, so if we scroll down to the very bottom here, this is where we can actually set up our emails for our session. So the first one, the first option in here is, where do you want the emails to come from? So any connected domain to your system, you can select here. So obviously it's showing our demo account domain here. And you can set the from address to whatever you wish for this. And this is where all of the both the reminder and follow-up emails will come from. Now, what's important here is that you have an email template set up that you can actually select for your emails. So you'll want to create both a registration confirmation template and also then any further reminder email templates that you want to create. You could use the same email, but to make it as personalized as possible, I'd recommend that you create one both for your confirmation and your reminder emails. So I've actually set up an email template already, so I can select here from the list here, my event invitation, which is a template I've set up, and I'll show you exactly where you can create those in a moment. So I can select that here, and then I can enable sending here. As soon as I hit this button, it's going to ask me, are we okay to obviously proceed with this email and send to any already registered records. At the moment, we don't have any. As soon as we've set this, though, this will allow us to then configure the rest of our emails. So the first one here is reminder emails, and you can decide how many reminder emails you want to send. Typically, we would have maybe one day before the event, and then maybe an hour or 15 minutes before the event. So here you can select exactly when you want to send that email. So same day before the session start, a certain amount of time before the session starts. So it might be 1 day, 2 days, or even weeks before. So today we're just going to set a same day before the session start. And then you can select which time you want that to go. So make sure that the time you set is obviously before your event. And then we'll select, and you can select an independent template here if you want something different here. Okay. So once you've set your email, you can then add additional, and you can say, well, actually, we also want one day before, and you can set that as well. So you can put in the unit of time here, 1 day, 2 day, or maybe it's weeks. You might want to set 1 week before. So it's very easy to set up the cadence of your reminder emails, which will be automatically triggered, to anyone that registers. Okay, so we've also got follow-up. This is, you don't have to set necessarily a follow-up email, but you can set a follow-up that go out both to those that did and did not attend. Okay, so I want to show you now, so this makes a bit more sense, exactly what an email template might look like, right? So here's an example of an email template that you can set up within the system. So this is for a previous sort of event that we ran, and how you can see that this is set up is it's actually putting in those merge tags for the event we just mentioned. So our template has all of these, event location, event address, and these merge tags will pull in the information that we set in our session, right? We've also got our Outlook and Google Calendar links here as well. So, when this email goes out to someone that registers, it's going to have a link there that they can then add, to their calendar. Okay, so obviously we've spoken about setting up one session, you might have a day 2. So you want to add a second session and you can add up to 50. Now, once you've set up your session and you're happy with this and you're ready to obviously now create a form registration form for this, you'll want to set your event to active. When you set your event to active, it will then allow you to obviously pull it into a form and allow people to register for it. I will talk about how we manage participants as well. But I think it's important for us to look at how we connect our event to a form first. Okay, so that we're now happy with our event, what we'll do is we'll actually come in to create a form for our registration page. So we'll come to Pages and Forms, we'll hit Forms and Create in the top right. Now, hopefully a lot of people on the call are familiar with creation of forms in the system. And I want to sort of point out the subtle difference that's required for your form to connect it to the event we've just set up. So I'm going to start with a blank form. I'm not going to use a template today. I'm going to hit Select. Now, we're going to call this our Sugar Academy event sign up form. If I can type. And we're going to select a folder for this. You can obviously set up an event folder for all events. And the key thing that you select on your form is going to be event under the form type. When you select event here, it's actually going to add in the option, an additional input option here for you to be able to select any event that you've created in the system. So you can start to type any event that you've created in the system, and then when you select this event here, what it will do is it will connect that event to this form, and when you hit next on your form and you start to create your input areas, you can actually add, if it's a single session event, you can add a hidden field, and when you add this hidden field, you can select. So a hidden field, just for anyone that doesn't know, is something that wouldn't be shown to the person filling out the form, but it allows information to be passed back into Sugarmarket. So we can call this one. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to map 2 sessions. And what it's going to do, the system will automatically bring in the session ID of the session you've connected, the event you've connected, into your form. So you can see it's pulled in session 18 here. So now when anyone submits this form that we've just created, in the background, it's going to pass that session ID back to Sugarmarket, and then they will be registered against that session. Now, if you have a multi-session event, obviously, in that case, you would need to have a drop-down. So you would drag in a drop-down into your event, and the same concept would apply here. You would need to map this to your event. Now, in this case, the event I've selected does not have multi-session. It only has a single session, so hidden field works. If your session, the event you've connected to had, say, 5 sessions, you would be able to select the map to event as we did with the hidden field, and then you would be able to create a drop-down with all of those options, and it will automatically pull in all of your session names in, and then you can modify them if you need to change the naming of those events slightly. But then that means when you publish the form, your form will have all of those event sessions for people to select from when they register. So basically, just to summarize, if you've got one session, you'll use a hidden field and select the map to event. And if you've got multi-sessions, you'll use a drop-down, and in a similar way, you'll map again automatically to those session IDs. So hopefully that's clear. Of course, if you have any questions, please do drop them in the chat on this part. But really, that's the main thing that you need to bear in mind for your event forms registration forms that is different to set up of other forms. Okay, so now we've set up our form, we can obviously create a Sugar Market landing page, and we can embed that form into that page, and we can start to, so, under pages, you'd create a page, and then you would simply, if we select a template, you would also here select event. So just like in the form, you'd select the page type as event, and then you'd hit create, and then we can replace this form with our event registration form by choosing the form here. So I'm just going to drop one in. So this is our registration form, right, where it's connected to our session. And then when we publish this page, we can then take the URL from our published page. So we'll set a URL here. Save this. So if we were to publish this page now, we'd get our URL, and we can now take this URL, that we've got for our page, and then we can use that in our invitation for an event, right? So one thing I want to make clear is your invitation would be separate to your actual event setup and all of the automation around, email automation around that event. So what I would suggest for, obviously you can send a single email as your event invitation, but what you can do in the system is you can actually set up a nurture sequence for your invitation. So we can take that URL we've just got for our page, go into our nurture builder, and we can build something that looks quite similar to this, right? We'd have that invitation email configured, and then we would check our form that we just set up for a completion. And then if there's a completion, we'll end the nurture. If there isn't a completion, we will resend our invite, right, to encourage that sign up. So this is how you can simply sort of set up a very sort of simple nurture sequence that will send your invitation, check the form that we've just set up, see if it's been submitted. If it hasn't, resend. Okay, hopefully everyone's still following. I can see some questions in the chat. We'll definitely have a look at these towards the end. Okay, so there's plenty to think about here, right? We've set up our event and our sessions. We've created our form. We've connected our form to the sessions that we set up, and then we've circulated to our event contacts that we're trying to promote this event to through a nurture. Okay, so we come back to our event within the system. So what happens once someone fills out our registration form that we've been pointing them to, right? Well, if they register for the event, they will fall into here. So right now you can see for our event, we have 0 participants. As soon as someone fills out the form, they will drop into this area, and you can click Manage Participants, and they will drop into here. Now, if you need to manually add someone here, maybe you're running an in-person event where actually, you need to add someone manually, or you need to import, an Excel file full of records into your event, you can do that. So what you need to make sure is you select the appropriate session. So here, Sugar Market Academy Day 1. You hit Add Participants here on the right-hand side, and then you can choose exactly how you bring people into this event. Now, if they register through the form, they'll automatically come into this area, right? But if you want to add someone manually, you can say import them from a list, add a participant, or add an email address. So if I click Add Participant, I'll show you exactly what happens when you manually add someone. So if I add myself here, put in my email address, company name, and then confirm that I have consent, and hit Save, it's going to add me into this event. Now you'll notice when I've done that, because I've been manually added here, I've come into the event, but I'm marked as registered no, attended no. Now, if I'd been added automatically from a form, it would automatically check this to yes, right? Now, if you need to change the status of anyone that's listed in your participants, you can select them and you can change that. Now you can update their status this way, clicking the little calendar icon, update status, and you can switch them. So in this case, I want to mark my manually sort of entered person as registered, right? So I can hit registered and then save. Simple as that, it will change my status to registered. And then if, for example, this is an in-person event where someone's just walked through the door, we can see that they've registered, we can then check them in. So you can hit check in and that will mark them automatically as attended, right? Now, of course, if you're integrated with GoToWebinar, that status for attendance from the webinar and registrations will be fed back into the system automatically and update these statuses here for anyone that's listed. And there is the button at the top right to be able to manually sync that if you need to update that at any point. So you can just click this button if you're using GoToWebinar. Now you can delete, obviously, participants from here, and you can import an entire list. So if you're running an exhibition and you're taking names, right, you could import that as a CSV file into here. You can also export the data at any point if you need to do that, and that will come out as an XLS, Excel file. There is a search function in here as well. If you've got a lot of participants and you need to search, you can find them very easily here. And you can also edit as well if you need to. So basically, for every session that you set up, you'll have a participant list here where you can manage those participants. Again, if you're using GoToWebinar, there will be a unique join URL as well for that participant, which would then feed into your email template if you're using a merge tag for that. Okay, I don't know if we want to stop for a moment, Sharon, maybe look at some of the questions, because I do have a little sort of a few more things I want to show, but I think, we've covered the sort of general process.
Sure, let's go ahead. So it looks like the first question, Joseph asked, what about Teams? This was at the beginning of the call. Joseph, was your question answered, or do we need to answer that live? This is at the very top, James.
Yeah, I see it, yeah. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what Teams pertains to be honest.
Let's see. Joseph, here, I can take you off of mute. Can you go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, thank you. So you had talked about GoToMeeting, and then you had also talked about Zoom. Is Teams one of the things that's going to be utilized in this platform as well, or is yours?
I see exactly what you mean, Joseph. Sorry. Okay, so to Teams, so Microsoft Teams, right? Integration with Microsoft Teams. So it is something that is, being considered by our product team. We don't have like a date for that yet, but it's certainly something that I suspect we'll see in the future. So yeah, obviously Zoom is our priority right now because Zoom is very widely used, as is Teams, of course. But yeah, Zoom is the first one to come in as a new integration.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, next question. What is the intended use case for the active, planned, canceled, and inactive states for events?
Yep.
From my understanding, it does not affect the system functionality in any way. So I'm curious what the intended use is.
Okay, yeah. So if your session's active, obviously it will allow people to register for your event. If for whatever reason, right, you've made an event active and then you know, you need to cancel it at the last minute, you can switch the status to cancelled, and obviously that will prevent further registrations to your event. And it will also, on the form, it will, you know, let people know that the event has been cancelled. So that's quite an important one. Planned is obviously like a draft status. So maybe you know, this is an event that you're planning on running in the future. Maybe you've set up the session ahead of time, but it's not ready to go live or be pulled into your form. As soon as you set it from planned to active, it will then pull through, and you can update your, you know, your form very easily on your page to pull in those new sessions that you've switched from planned to active. So that's the main sort of, I guess, use case for that is if the event's not ready to go live, but you want to create the session ahead of time, you can set it to planned, and then when it is ready to be added to your form, you know, that you would set it to active. And a common sort of use case for this is if someone's running like a CPD event, and maybe they run the same event every month, and they need to update the same form, right, registration form every time, but just add and remove new dates or new days from that drop down. So something to mention on this as well, if a event is set to active, right, and the date of the event has passed, it will drop off of your form and it will not allow anyone to register for it, right? So if the date has passed, you know, there's some the system will not allow that to be sort of registered for. So that's another key part. Hopefully that answers the question. Probably a long-winded answer, but
Rose, that was your question. Does that answer the question for you? Let's see. Did Rose respond in the chat? Yes, it does. Okay, awesome, perfect. Thank you. Okay,
thanks, guys.
Anonymous attendee. On the form, would the checkbox field allow for the selection of multiple sessions?
Very, very good question. So currently it's drop downs. So definitive sort of answers, I guess. Checkbox, currently you can't use a checkbox. However, that is something that we are well aware of, that, you know, there may be a situation where someone wants to register for multiple days in one registration form, right? So yeah, I hear that question, and yeah, it's something we obviously will look to introduce.
All righty. Another anonymous attendee. Could I use this conference we have with the customers and setting up different breakout sessions with them? Or is it just for, is it more, or is this more for just finding out if they will attend?
Yeah, so you can use the events for multiple different reasons, right? As I mentioned, in-person events, webinars, and even if you select the in-person option, you can still run a webinar, right? You may not have the integration that pulls in the links automatically, but you could still set those links, you know, within here. So you could use it to run breakout sessions, is the short answer. And it would obviously allow you to send the email, you know, email automation around the event, you know, automate out invites, and also to see and track the registrations and attendees. But I think, yeah, this is really more geared towards, you know, events that you're running that are, you know, you're planning on having a significant audience.
All righty. So next question. Hi, could we please have the recording? Yes, I will send the recording after this session. Okay, next question. Any plans on the roadmap to enable SMS with events to send text message reminders instead of email reminders?
I couldn't comment on that one. It may be something with our product team, but yeah, unfortunately, I wouldn't know the answer to that one. SMS is something that, you know, we've had questions about though. So
Okay, perfect. I think this is the last question. Oh, we have a few more. How can I use the event tracking tool in Sugar Market to measure the performance and success of my events?
okay, yeah. So I mean, that's a great question, and something that I kind of did wanted to touch on actually. So this data that we are, you know, collecting here for each of our sessions, how we use that data, you know, we can use that in many different ways, right? We if we're using CRM, so if we're using like Sugar Cell, for example, we can push that data into Sugar Cell, and we can actually generate reports directly in CRM on your event attendees. And I'll show you sort of an example of that because I have a demo account here. So here's my CRM. So we're not in Sugar Market anymore. This is our demo CRM, Sugar Cell. So if you wanted to surface that data for everyone to see in CRM, you can actually build a dashboard based on that data. In order to actually push the data into CRM in the first place, though, you need to make sure that in your sync settings in the system under admin and external settings, and this is a very important part, right? Because if you haven't set the Sugar Market to actually sync the event data, then you won't have it available to you. But you can actually set within here this option. So if you check this option, push event data. So it's as simple as that. It's a checkbox, right? This will allow Sugar Market to push that data to whatever your connected CRM is. Now, obviously, I'm using Sugar Cell in this example. We do integrate with other CRMs. So if you've got this checked, what will happen is every time someone registers or attends, attends an event and that status changes, on the sync cycle that happens between the CRM and market, it will actually update their record. So if I navigate to a record within the system in CRM, I go to a contact record and I pick my colleague Bree from the contacts. So what it'll actually do is it will push through the integration, it will push through that event sign up under events. So the sub panel within the system, events, and you'll see the event name of what you've set up in Sugar Market. You'll see if you click the little icon, sorry, you'll actually see the status of registered and attended as well. And you'll see the event location and other details here as well. Depends on how you've configured your layout, and you'll also see the event name right at the top and the date of it. So this allows you to basically push through both event registrants and attended status, and then you can build a report on that. So you can, build a report in the system to say, show me everyone that has registered for, this particular event that we're running, and then who of course attended as well. You could build a report for that. So just to show you an example of how you could maybe preview this data, because this is available for all records, as long as they exist within Sugar Market, right? And they're being pushed to CRM, you can push this event data. So if I go to the home screen now and I go to our dashboard, so this is an example of how you could maybe preview that data. So if I scroll down on my dashboard here, you can see that we've got a dashlet here for those that have registered from my events, and we've got it broken down by month. Now, obviously, this is test data, so the numbers are low, but you can see, the count of people within the last 90 days. You can also see, so this is for registrations. This one is for those who actually attended, and then you can see a full list of attendees broken out here. So this is just an example, right, of how you could surface this data in CRM. Again, probably a super long-winded answer to that question, but I did want to show this anyway, so I thought it made sense to show it in response to that question.
I think that's good. Let's see. So that was from Carlos. Carlos, did that answer your question? You can type it in the chat.
Now, in addition to obviously pushing that data to CRM and creating a report or dashboard here, You can, of course, create a custom report within Sugar Market, which would give you all of the information that you want, right? And you can filter based on different events or different criteria attended versus registrations, right? And then, any custom reports you create, you could then use in further, as marketing lists and add to your email campaigns. So there's lots of flexibility for using that data.
Alrighty, so I think it looks like we have about 6 more questions. James, I'll let you go ahead and finish the session, and then we'll round out with those questions, okay? We'll end the session with those questions. Okay.
Yeah, so I think really, I've covered what I wanted to cover today, right? I know that obviously there's a lot to take on in this session. There's a lot to an event, but hopefully I've sort of covered the basic steps to get you an event set up, to then connect that event to a form, then circulate that form through a nurture sequence to send those invites out to people, and then of course those email reminders and how to set those.
Alrighty, well then we can just go, we can actually go through the remaining questions then. So the next question is, last time I didn't receive any recording. Okay, so Antonella, I will make sure that you do receive the recording. Anonymous attendee, I was told before the sugar market comes with a dedicated sugar market employee that helps with things like this. Is that correct? Do you want to touch on that, James, and like how that actually works from a services perspective?
Yeah, sure. From a services perspective, I can talk about that. So yeah, so we have a number of different sort of packages, and depending on the package that you're on with Sugar Market will depend on whether you have a dedicated consultant to help you through. But everyone should that comes on board directly with Sugar should have a marketing automation consultant that will at least help them in the early stages. So it totally depends on what package you have taken from a services perspective. But the most common one is our partnership package, where you will receive a dedicated consultant such as myself, where we'll train you on the system and then also help you with any use cases. And that's typically a year or a 2-year contract. So we'll hopefully that answers that question.
Alrighty, the next question is, what kind of marketing automation can I use in the sugar market nurture process?
Okay, so I mean that's a very open question. There's a lot to nurtures. Obviously, this keeping it to events. You can, as I showed on a nurture builder sequence. Now, this was just looking at adding, a list of people at the top, sending an email, evaluating the form submission, and then, triggering a follow-up email. However, you do have a number of different conditional elements here that you could use to create some automations. So, we've got things like evaluating specific form answers. So you could check against that form to see exactly, what was submitted. So you could automate further emails on that basis. But I think today, unfortunately, we don't have too much time to really get into the nurture part as much as I would like to.
Okay, let's see. Hopefully we'll be able to cover the nurture part at another point during our webinar series. But I do agree that there is a lot to cover there, and we just don't have enough time within this session. So the next question is, sorry, in this case of any problem with the events, in the case that for some reason cannot be registered or do not receive the information, Sugar Market has an option to fix some kind of inconvenience. So is there a way to troubleshoot? Is the way that I'm reading this. I don't know if you can see the question that's in the chat as well.
I can, yeah. So if you, for whatever reason, find that a registrant is not receiving an email, each email that you have set, including the reminders, will actually have its own email dashboard. So you can always drill into that dashboard and see, was that email delivered? Was it, and double check and make sure it definitely was sent from the system. So yeah, if you come to emails within the system, right, all of your emails. So just to show you at the top here, so you can see the confirmation for session ID. This is how it appears within the system. So when you set those confirmation emails, as we did in our event, it actually will create a line item as you normally would for an event, and it will then you can drill into it and see that data. So you can always come into this dashboard, view your preview for the event, and then you can check to see, did someone actually receive it? You can click into this and see the delivery and then see exactly who it was sent to. So if you're ever in doubt, I guess, of whether or not someone's received it, you can always check this dashboard, or you can drill into their actual record itself, and you can see on their journey, did they receive that email? Because there'll be a history of that on their record. So just to, I guess, briefly look at that. So if we come into a lead or contact, I'll pick Bree, my colleague, again. You will see, as you would any other email you send from Sugar Market, you will see whether or not that email was sent and when, and then if it was opened and subsequently then clicked, right? So I guess to summarize, it's the same as any email you would send from Sugar Market. You get that dashboard and you get that history on the record itself. And then further to that, you could generate a report.
Alrighty, and so for the next question, can you drill down into the dashboard data to see the list of attendees in CRM?
Yes, so depending on the dashboard that you've set up, so this particular dashlet that has been created is just a report to show all event attendees by date. So yes, this will, if you build a report like this in the system, you could pull a report of everyone, and then you could actually even filter based on the event name. We've just got some test events here, but you could filter based on that event name.
Alrighty, that's perfect. Okay, so the last question, it looks like this is from Claudia. Can you repeat where to configure events data push to CRM?
Yeah, absolutely. So within Sugar Market, if we come back, so it's under your CRM sync settings. Now, obviously, this requires you to be integrated in the first place, but under admin, so I'm just going to leave this without saving. Under the admin section in the top right, obviously this assumes that you are an admin to Sugar Market. Otherwise, you won't see this option. But if you're an admin, you can click this option. And then under the admin settings, it's under CRM administration, external connectors. And then depending on what CRM you're integrated with, obviously our demo account's integrated with SugarCell. You'll have an option here to configure those settings under external connectors. So you can click this, and then this will open up your sync settings, and it will also tell you when the last sync cycle runs. So for Sugar CRM, the sync cycle runs it actually runs every 20 minutes. There was an update today which reduced that time to 10 minutes. So actually it now syncs every 10 minutes your data back from market to CRM. So under here, you scroll down to sync settings, and then it's this option here, push event data. It's just a checkbox, and that will ensure that gets pushed into the sub panel for events in Sugar CRM. Obviously, if you need any assistance with this, and you can reach out if you have a consultant to help you with that. But we have plenty of documentation around these sync settings, and maybe Shara, we can send some links to that that will sort of clarify these settings. Okay, awesome. And then, it looks like Claudia has one more question.
The event module in Sugar CRM should be present. I can't find it.
Okay, so Claudia, when you click left on the left navigation, you can't see events here. Is that what we're talking about? So you can't actually see this at all in the navigation?
Here, Claudia, I'll go ahead and unmute you so you can talk.
Oh, I think I know where we're getting at. So, okay. So events with it directly within CRM, not Sugar Market. Is that what we're talking about?
Hi.
So are you...
Okay.
Hi, Claudia.
Hi. I'm using events within Sugar Market and everything goes okay. The question is why I can't see the event management within Sugar CRM to reflect what is happening in Sugar Market events. I can't find that model. I don't know why.
Okay, so just to explain, if you're integrated already, between the two systems, I assume that you are, and you're already sort of putting accounts. Yeah, okay. So if you're already integrated, what you need to make sure is that in the system, so as part of the integration, it actually on the contact and lead level, if I click back into my colleague Bree, so it actually will add, you should have a sub panel for events. It may not be called events, it may be called event management. That is the default. We've renamed it to events, but you should have a sub panel here.
Okay, it's a sub panel within contact.
Yes, a sub panel within the contact or the lead record, right? Because you could have a lead that could also.
I've already found it. I already found it.
Perfect.
I was looking as a module, so that's why I couldn't see it.
Yeah, so the module itself is actually called event management, not events. Yeah. We've renamed it in our demo account. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Great.
All righty. Thank you for that. Thanks, Claudia. Are there any additional questions here? Alrighty, James. It looks like we have about 5 minutes left. This is great. I think we've had a great session. We have had some great questions. We will definitely, I'll be sharing the recording. It'll be in Sugar U, but then what I'll do is I will email the link out to everyone who has been on this call participating.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I will also send you a few links of useful documentation around events as well that will hopefully support people in getting sort of running some events.
Okay, awesome. That's perfect. And I'll share that out when I send the follow-up email as well. So thank you everyone so much for joining, and we will send the follow-up link shortly after. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you joining today.
Thanks.
Have a good rest of the week.